federal role, we might just see progressive states continue to pursue the policies that they support, and conservative states continue to pursue the policies that they support.
Well, let's talk about immigration for a moment. Mass deportation is another centerpiece of Trump's agenda. Pew Research estimates 4.4 million American children have at least one undocumented parent. There are at least 850,000 children themselves who are undocumented in 2022. How could Trump's plans to carry out mass deportation impact students and schools?
One thing we know is that in past administrations, there's been a big increase in raids on workplaces where there's large numbers of undocumented workers. And when that's happened, there's been enormous ripple effects on schools. You had children going home to empty homes. You had families that were scared to send their children to school. You had children who essentially became parentless or homeless overnight. And schools often play this role in communities where they step in to fill those gaps. And we talked to superintendents in communities that had experienced these raids before, and they said, just like you drill for a fire or a tornado or an active shooter, you should think through, do you know where the parents of your students work? Do you know who's likely to be impacted if there's a large raid? Who is going to reach out to students? Who's going to make sure they feel safe? How are you going to make sure students are housed? And they advised to be prepared for these scenarios.
And just quickly, I want to ask you about voucher programs. These are publicly funded vouchers to pay for private education. What do experts say? Is that likely to increase in a Trump administration?
The November 18th, 2024 session of Roanoke City Council is hereby called to order, and I'll ask our clerk, Ms. Susan McCoy, to please call the roll.
Miss Moon Reynolds? Miss Moon Reynolds?
Here, I thought I was first last time. I'm hesitating, that's why. No
Okay,
problem.
we can change that. We'll let you be last. I thought Trish was first
Now,
for last.
Peter wasn't here, and I think that's why you called me first.
Oh, yeah, I probably am first.
That's what it was. No problem. Are you giving something away?
No. Miss Sanchez Jones?
Here.
Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Here.
Vice Mayor Cobb?
Here.
Miss White Boyd?
Here.
Mr. Volleson?
Here.
And Mayor Lee.
Here, and a quorum is present. All right, I will be delivering the invocation to this afternoon, and I'll also be leading the Pledge of Allegiance. So I'd ask everybody to stand as we get going. Let us pray. Eternal God, our Father, we come to you at this appointed time, first and foremost to say thank you, for we recognize that it was you who woke us up today. Lord, we ask you now to guide us as we go forth as elected and appointed officials. Give us the wisdom and understanding that we need to do the very best we can for our city and the valley. And Lord, we ask you to continue to serve and bless those in our community that need a helping hand. And we ask you to, Lord, touch those who are going through bereavement today. We know that you are a God that cares and that you can do all things. And so we thank you, and we ask you to continue to bless our country. And as we go through a transformative or a transition in government, we give you praise, we give you honor, and it is in that name of Jesus we pray. Amen. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you and welcome to our first session of Roanoke City Council this afternoon. We'll also be meeting tonight at 7 p.m. I want to first go over some announcements we have for our city. The Council of the City of Roanoke is seeking applications for various vacancies on council, appointed authorities, boards, commissions, and committees. And that is a sincere request that we have as a council. We want you as citizens to serve on any of our boards and commissions. It's an easy process. All you need to do is to fill out an application, and you can access the city's website at www.roanokeva.gov to complete an online application. And you can also call our clerk's office, and they will provide you all the information you need. But we need you to help us govern this 8-time All-America City. So those of you that are here that are interested in serving, those of you that are in the TV audience, we want you to feel free to serve and be in part of a committee. Just fill out that application, and we will advise you of the appointments. All right, the Council of the City of Roanoke is accepting nominations for the 2024 Citizen of the Year. To learn about the nomination criteria and to access the nomination form, visit again www.roanokeva.gov/Citizen of the Year, or stop by again at Clerk's office at room 456 here in this building on this floor, Noel C. Taylor Municipal Building, from 8 a.m. to 5 o'clock p.m., Monday through Friday, and they'll give you the information you need to fill out that nomination. Someone that you think should be recognized as the Citizen of the Year. And nominations must be submitted to the city clerk's office by 5 o'clock p.m. on Friday, November 22nd. So you still have time to do that if it's somebody you think that deserves that recognition. And so we will receive those nominations, and if you get it in by November 22nd. Nominees now must be residents of the city of Roanoke. All right, please remember that. They must be residents of the city of Roanoke. So let's honor those who go above and beyond for our community. And many of you know who they are that we may not know. It doesn't necessarily be somebody that's in front of the camera all the time, or it's somebody that you know is making an impact and a difference in our community, and you think they ought to be recognized. Fill out that form and get it to us, and we'll really consider that. All right? Okay. I'm so pleased today, and I am always pleased to see our men in uniform that are with us today. And we're going to go and have our first item on the agenda is presentations and acknowledgements, and I'm going to ask our Deputy City Manager, Ms. Angie O'Brien, to come forward and recognize some of the quality people in our city. So, Ms. O'Brien.
So, Mayor, Vice Mayor, members of council, I'm excited to be able to recognize the incredible work of some of our local heroes who turned a devastating incident into a story of hope and resilience. It's moments like these that remind us why we collaborate, or why collaboration is so important between departments of social services, the Sheriff's Department, Fire Department, and Police Department. When faced with horrific incidents where lives and emotions hang in the balance, these teams come together seamlessly to protect not just the physical safety of those involved, but the long-term well-being. This afternoon, you will hear from Chief Hoback and Ms. Gwen Coleman, the Director of Social Services, who will share some of the details of a recent incident and how their teams worked hand in hand to achieve a positive outcome. Their story highlights the courage, compassion, and the skill of staff whose efforts leave lasting impacts on our community. As you'll hear, the dedication of these teams brought comfort and stability to individuals in a crisis, exemplifies the power of interdepartmental collaboration. So, Ms. Coleman.
Good afternoon, Mayor Lee and members of City Council. A couple of weeks ago, the department received a call in regards to 7 children. The situation was currently unfolding, and the fire department stepped up and actually stepped in and actually provided a safe place for these 7 children. Which allowed my staff the time to respond to the fire department to meet the needs of this family. Investigator Rihanna Chambers was the lead investigator on the case, and because of the number of children and the age of children, she reached out to her co-workers, Allison Crockett and Summer Pippert, to assist her in the field. They responded to the police department, and they responded to the fire station where the 7 children had been moved to, and there they worked with the firefighters and EMS to provide food, clothing, and to actually clean the children because they were very unkept. But this also allowed time for the department to reach out to family members to actually come and to care for the children, so that the department would not have to take custody of the children. And so even though those children were in a very traumatic event, we were able to lessen their trauma because that afternoon they were able to go home with family members, people that they knew. All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Coleman. I believe each and every one of you, Mayor Lee, Vice Mayor Cobb, and Deputy City Manager O'Brien, thank you for allowing me to speak before you. I think you've all received the email that was forwarded to me by Captain Drew Abel. This was a very unusual circumstance for us. That morning, we had a call for a high-risk warrants initiative from the U.S. Marshals. They initially entered the building and found they had 7 children and 1 adult in the building, and immediately had to evacuate the children and the adult out. The fire department, led by then Acting Battalion Chief Drew Abel, secured the children and the adult into one of our ambulances and then transported them to Station 5, just up the street. This really comes as others' duties as defined, because now they have 7 children that they need to take care of, ages from 1 to 12, all in need of care. Whether it's changing of diapers, whether it's clothing, whether it's feeding, whatever it needed to be done. I will tell you, our staff worked in concert with the Department of Social Services to make that happen. Through the course of about 8 hours or 9 hours, we cared for the children, helped them, we fed them, we entertained them, we changed their diapers. And I will tell you that one person here in the room doesn't like acknowledgments, and that's Lieutenant Richards. He actually held the infant, the 1-year-old, for over 2 hours while the infant could sleep. I will tell you that this is something that we're not prepared for. We don't have cribs in our stations. But we knew by doing this and working with social services, they would not have to go into some type of alternate care. They had family members coming from North Carolina to come up and take responsibility for these children who were in desperate need of help, desperate need of clothing, desperate need of just basic care. And between us, the Social Service, Department of Social Services, their team, and I will tell you there's other teams here. We have, that was also responsible is the Rescue Mission Thrift Store. We reached out to them, said we need clothing. This is the age group. We got it. Worked with the Red Cross. This is what we need. We got it. We called Carillion because we knew if these kids are going to be transported from Virginia to North Carolina, what do you need? We need car seats. So we reached out to Jill Lucas, who provides all of our car seat training at our Station 6 every Thursday, the third Thursday of every month. She's actually teaching at Station 5 today and could not be here. She immediately responded. We got car seats so these kids could be safely transported. Trevor Shannon coordinated all these resources so that we can meet the needs of these young citizens and make sure that they're well cared for. I will tell you, when I walked into the station and saw what I saw, my heart really sank. But my heart was also enriched by what the men and women of both social services and the Fire-EMS department were doing to care for this unusual circumstance, that we could make sure that they had a place, safe place, and to give them a little bit better than what they had just a few hours before. So I would like to just acknowledge the staff, and I think that Ms. Coleman did hers, and I'd like to acknowledge my staff. And first of all, the acting battalion chief on duty that day was Captain Drew Abel. He led the charge and made the decision. Actually called me up and said, Chief, I'm asking for forgiveness. And I said, no, you don't have to ask for forgiveness. It's what you need to do. Let's make it happen. So Captain Abel is in the back with me, as well as Lieutenant Brad Sweeney, Firefighter Bradley Willis, Firefighter Tyler Good, Lieutenant James Richards, who I talked to. And I will tell you, he wasn't sitting in a chair. He was sitting on a basketball, holding this 1-year-old up against the bay door. And that kid fell asleep in his lap, and he would not budge until that kid woke up. It was amazing. We had firefighter Hayden Connor, firefighter Reed Morris. We had some of our part-time paramedics there and full-time paramedics, Valerie Press, George Crabb. We also had firefighter Noah Ziegler, firefighter Logan Morris, our advanced care paramedic Michael Pierce, and then again Drew Abel, who were all there to help this situation come together to make it happen. With support, and it couldn't have been done without the support of social services. As soon as we put the children in the ambulance, Captain Abel called social services, Child Protective Service, to get them on the way. And again, this was an unusual circumstance. We have not seen this before. I've never seen something like this in my 40 years as it relates to stuff that had to be done and what needed to be done as quick as it did. But we're very grateful, and I'm very proud of both the social services team and my firefighters that did that work that day, because it really made a difference. You walk in and you have these little toddlers that are walking around and they're just as happy as they can be and don't really understand what's going on around them. but they're hungry, they got a fresh diaper on, they got fresh clothes on, and it really made a difference. So I really greatly appreciate your acknowledgement and, with this unusual circumstance, and it's definitely worth acknowledging.
Come on, guys, gals, stand up.
I'll take any questions you may have.
Thank you, Chief. Let me just say, and I'm sure my colleagues will have some comments they'd like to make, but that really makes you proud to be a part of this city and part of the people. And again, that's nothing you train for, as you alluded to. That comes from the heart, and it tells you about the caliber of people that we have that's working for us. So I want to commend them. Thank you, and thank you, Ms. Coleman, for the work that you all do. But that's just, it's real moving because, again, they're reaching out. That's you don't go through training one-on-one on that. You just react, and you do that. And to an example of sitting on a basketball holding a baby, wow, that it says a lot about the
And he
people.
wouldn't move. It was just phenomenal. He was directing everything, but holding that one-year-old boy.
It was. All right, well, thank you. Council members, anybody? Yeah.
I'd just like to say how wonderful it is, having known so many of our EMS folks and firefighters, and my daughter-in-law, who used to be in the Department of Social Services. It takes special kinds of people to do this work when you are living up to your job description. But to have something totally unexpected come up and watch you react this quickly with love and caring, those children will never know, the young ones, what happened. But you will, and you'll know that you made a difference. And what a great team effort, Mayor. I'm really proud of all of you all, and whomever couldn't be here today.
As freshman?
Yeah, thank you. I just would echo that and say this exemplifies just the character of each of you as individuals and how you so quickly work together. I would love, Ms. Coleman, if you could introduce your team that was a part of this, and then if everybody who was involved could come up so we could get a photo with you all, that would be a great honor for all of us.
Sure, we have Investigator Rihanna Chambers, Investigator Summer Pippert, want to come on up? Investigator Allison Crockett, and then we have their supervisors, Beth Fletcher and Don Goss, and the Family Services Manager.
Come on, white shirt, y'all can come.
Just move the stanchions.
Yeah, just move the stanchions. Come on back up here.
Just move them all the way.
I want you to hold me like a one-year-old baby.
Can you just move those stanchions back here? So, yeah. There we go.
Need you guys to scooch in a little bit more.
Come on, guys. Come on up here, guys. All right.
There we go. All right, 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
What a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you, Chief and Ms. Coleman and your staff. All right, take care, man. Thank you, Deputy City Manager Bryant, and we recognize that you will be sitting in today for Dr. Patton, who's away.
Happy to be here.
All right. And the next item on our agenda is the hearing of citizens upon public matters. City Council sets this time aside as a priority for citizens to be heard. All matters will be referred to the city manager for a response, recommendation, or a report to council as she may deem appropriate. Madam Clerk, are there any citizens signed up today?
Yes, sir, we have one speaker,
Okay,
and that is Laura Hartman.
all right.
Good afternoon. I bring you greetings from the Bus Riders of Roanoke Advocacy Group. This is a season for gratitude, so I want to start with some gratitude. I really appreciate all the support that you all have been showing our buses this year. Especially during the campaign, we've seen many of you participating in the Week Without Driving or some of our other recent events, so thank you for that for that support. Now, there's been some press lately about extending Valley Metro service into the county. As you all are probably aware, that has been mentioned in the strategic plan for the bus service going forward. You may be aware that there are many access areas that matter to people that are not serviced by our buses currently. The Hollins area, the DMV, Tanglewood, Cave Spring Corners, and so forth. These are areas that people need to get to. I'm here to remind you that AAA has estimated that it costs $10,000 a year to own and operate a car. For many of our neighbors in this city, that is too much money. And so many of us are at least either can't afford a car or have a car that's unreliable and sometimes need other options. So this is part of why we say that buses are for everyone. We say that in the Bus Riders of Roanoke Advocacy Group because, in fact, did you know that the origin of the word bus is from omnibus? And the word omnibus means for everyone. So buses are literally for everyone, as they should be. However, sometimes our buses don't reach everyone, right, when they don't reach to the county. So I am excited about the plans for the county, but I know that you all in particular play a very important role here. As you interact with your counterparts in the county, the Board of Supervisors needs to hear from all of us. We're contacting them, but we want to encourage you as fellow leaders to reach out to them, to contact them. As you find them and as you interact with them, maybe just bring up buses. Maybe just bring up how important they are. For lots of reasons. If you want some talking points, I want to mention to you something that one of our friends who is a bus operator said to our group. So this is in the words of a bus operator. She said, maybe you didn't ride the bus to get to work, but when you got to work, your building was clean. Why? Because I drove that custodian to work. And then when you stopped for lunch, you had a delicious sandwich. But where did that sandwich come from? It came from somebody working in a kitchen. I dropped that person off at work, says the bus driver. And then you picked your children up from childcare. Those childcare workers, I drove them to work, she said. And I'll bring them all home at the end of the day so they can sleep and I can sleep and we can all do it again for you tomorrow. So buses are for everyone, even if you personally don't ride it, because we are all connected in this community. And what benefits those who struggle the most benefits all of us. So I just wanted to give you that reminder and that talking point as you interact with your counterparts in the county. Please mention how important buses are and how we really look forward to partnering with them on expanding our bus service. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, that concludes our hearing of citizens upon public matters. All right, we'll move now to the consent agenda. All matters listed under the consent agenda are considered to be routine by the members of City Council and will be enacted by one motion. There will be no separate discussion of the items. If discussion is desired, the item will be removed from the consent agenda and considered separately. I want to call your attention to a request for a closed meeting from Council Member Trish White-Board, who is the chair of the Council Personnel Committee, requesting that council convene in a closed meeting to discuss a personnel matter pursuant to Section 2.2-3711 Code of Virginia as amended, and a request from our city attorney, Mr. Tim Spencer. I want to recognize him today. Good to see you, Tim. All right. He's requesting a closed meeting for the purpose of discussing disposition of publicly owned property, where discussion in an open meeting would adversely affect the bargaining position or negotiating strategy of the public body pursuant to Section 2.2-3711 Code of Virginia as amended. All right, I need a motion.
Second.
All right. Did you get that, Madam Clerk?
Yes, I will.
All right.
Ms. Sanchez Jones? Mr. Fitzpatrick?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Cobb?
Aye.
Ms. White Boyd?
Aye.
Mr. Volleson?
Aye.
Ms. Moon Reynolds?
Aye.
And Mayor Lee.
Aye, and the consent agenda is approved. Thank you. All right, our next item is petitions and communications. And I'm real pleased to have this group with us today. They came to visit me in my office, and I was just pleased to talk with them, and I got encouraged after talking with the group. The Just Serve Initiative, and Stacy Reese is the communications director. It's the Roanoke, Virginia Stake, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I've asked them to come, and they shared some things to me that they're doing, and I wanted them to come before council and to determine if there's some other ideas or thoughts that we could share with them to enhance what they're doing or to help them to go about impacting our community in a positive way. So, Stacy, if you would come up now and share with us what you'll share with me, even more than that. But thank you for coming this afternoon.
Thank you for sponsoring our group and me, and thank you for allowing us to come speak with you guys today. As Mayor Lee mentioned, my name is Stacy Reese. I'm the Communication Director for the Roanoke, Virginia Stake of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I've also got with me President Hanny Shabana, who is the stake president in the area, and his counselor, President Dan Dutton. And we also have Brother Dane McBride, who is a former physician at the Asthma Allergy Center. I want to start by thanking you all for everything that you do for our citizens, for the citizens of Roanoke County, and that ends up trickling beyond our borders. You have put in time, work, effort, care, and the list goes on to help provide the things that our citizens need. And you've done it willingly and graciously, and we are very grateful to you for that. And we have many in our congregations that live in Roanoke City, and they have benefited from your efforts. And so, again, thank you. We, too, would like to do our part. While our church, the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, is a global church, we have several congregations in and around the Roanoke Valley. We provided packets for you guys today, or little folders. One side of the folder includes information that tells about our church in this area, in the Roanoke Valley, a little bit of the history, a little bit about what we do, and shares some of our beliefs. The other side of the packet includes free community resources that our church offers. And again, the word is free. Anybody can use any of these resources. They can take bits and pieces and create their own. These resources are absolutely free. And you will see as you look over the information, one of our church's core values is to serve others. We believe in Jesus Christ, and we try to follow how he lived. And one of the things that he did is he served everyone who he made contact with. While we are not perfect, we can still try. And we've done some partnering with local agencies and organizations in the past. Some of them have been that we partnered with the Agape Center, Benton, Roanoke. We were able to give them funds to purchase mattresses to give to their clients. We have partnered with the Rescue Mission. About 40 of us gathered together down at the Rescue Mission on a Saturday morning. We bagged lunches, we served lunch, we cleaned the chapel, we watered the plants, we did whatever we could find that they needed a little assistance with. We did office work even. And they were able to hand out, we did about 300 bagged lunches, and they were able to hand out those bagged lunches the next day, that Sunday. We've also partnered several times with Feeding Southwest Virginia. We were instrumental in last year, in having a truck delivered each month that contained meat protein. And it was delivered to them each month, which then that got distributed out to other organizations and agencies that helped serve City of Roanoke and others. Recently, we did a service project. Our church had a service project with Feeding Southwest Virginia. In fact, that's the most recent one we've had. And I had 25 people sign up, and I was a little worried that it wasn't going to be enough. And the members of our church stood up. We ended up being about 50 people that rolled in and out. Maybe they were only able to give an hour, but they gave that hour. And we sorted about 13,000 pounds of food for Feeding Southwest Virginia that morning in a total of 3 hours. So those are just some of the things that we are able to do and trying to do. We're not trying to reinvent the wheel. We have excellent agencies and organizations that serve our citizens, and they do a great job at it. We don't want to take over or take away from them. All we want to do is partner with them to make their roles a little bit easier. Currently, we are great at the short term. Simple, like what I was saying, the service projects here or there, and we'd like to continue them. And we'd also like to create long-term relationships with some of these organizations. So our questions to the council today are, how can we serve the citizens of Roanoke City? And what organizations should we reach out to help do that?
Well, thank you. Let me just say that I, as not only as a mayor, but as a citizen here in Roanoke, appreciate what you've done and what you're doing in our community. And we always, I think, welcome those citizens who want to give a helping hand. And we appreciate that, what you do. And I'll just ask my colleagues if they have any thoughts or ideas. Ms. Trish Wright-Board.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and again, thank you for coming down. And I will say that the young lady that just left, our Director of Department of Social Services, Ms. Coleman, have you spoken with her?
I have not.
You absolutely should.
I agree.
Yeah, you absolutely should. And also, with the requirements for the English Connect, the individual, as long as they're 11 years or older, any language, Spanish?
Yes.
French? Wow.
And it's online. Right now, we don't have any English Connect individuals in Roanoke, but it's online. The courses are free. The book is free. They can sign up to print it or download it. They would need a computer. But there are different, from what I've read of it, there are different times that they can all join in chat rooms and learn from each other in addition to the course itself.
Wow. That is quite impressive, and thank you again.
Yes.
Ms. Sanchez-Jones might even have some organizations. I was going to toss it over to her.
Thank you for what you're doing, and for not forgetting that Jesus called us to love one another as we love Him.
Yep.
So, but my question for you is that, are you enrolled with Community 211, the community services?
No.
I think you should look into that.
Okay,
Because they
yes.
have, they offer, they give information to the citizens and all different informations.
Wonderful. That's a great idea. Thank you.
Yeah, because they need to have your resources as well. Also, I have a question about your college pathway. Is that a loan, or do you help with the tuition also?
It is not a loan. It is an actual program online, and it's at a reduced cost. There is a cost for that one, but it is at a reduced cost.
Okay, thank you.
Beth?
Stacy, thank you so much
Yes.
for being here. First, before I make my comments, let me thank you and your church for two things. One is Elmer Hodge, who was in your church, and I'm assuming still is, who was the county administrator of Roanoke County, an incredible man who brought a great deal of stability to the valley and worked with us in the city in a very wonderful and unique way, exemplifies what your church is all about. And secondly, every Sunday morning, this Presbyterian gets up and I have to listen to the Salt Lake City Choir. Or I can't go to Second Presbyterian. It just doesn't work in the opposite order. And that's the oldest operating show on radio, for those of you who don't know. And it is an absolute gift to people all over the world. I did not know of the things you all have done, and obviously would like to thank you for that. I would love for you to consider looking at the Presbyterian Community Center.
Okay.
I happen to be biased, I'm the chairman at the moment, but we need food and volunteers all the time.
Wonderful.
It's a 501c3, it's not a Presbyterian church function. Ram House, West End Center, all of these are folks, plus others, that would love to have your help from time to time, and if there's anything we can do to help you broaden this wonderful Christian base, we would certainly be pleased and proud to do it. It's not usual for us to have someone come like you all and make an offer like this, and of course you may be overcome by folks that want your help.
Okay.
But the big picture is thank you for caring about Roanoke, and Roanoke is such a wonderful city, but it has tremendous needs, many of which our citizens don't see nor understand, and they go overlooked. So thank you for caring about those who many times can't care for themselves. So it's a real treat to have you here and to meet you all.
Thank you. And Elmer Hodge was supposed to attend, so I will have to shake my finger at him.
You tell him I'm terribly upset.
I will.
Vice Mayor.
Thank you, Stacy, for being here. It's good to see you all. I know we've had numerous opportunities to meet through the years with Feeding Southwest Virginia and your help there, as well as the organization called Voices of Faith,
Yes.
Which brings diverse interfaith voices together for dialogue throughout the community. In addition to what my colleagues have mentioned, I would add reaching out to our HAT team, our homeless assistance team.
Oh,
They keep a separate food pantry as well as other items that they can distribute. They could also give you a list of all of the homeless service agencies in the community who have different needs in terms of what they distribute. Vivian mentioned 211, which is run by the Council of Community Services, and they have other programs that might benefit from a partnership,
Wonderful.
including the Drop-In Center, which does HIV/AIDS education, as well as harm reduction work. And then our Sheriff's Department does outreach events all the time.
Yes.
And while community response is often really, the community responds really well, they're always looking for partners for many of their larger outreach events. So those are just some additional
That's
suggestions.
fabulous. Thank you. I hadn't thought of some of those, so thank you. Thank you.
Great. Anybody else have any comments? Let me just say and thank my colleagues for those thoughts, and I echo Bev's statements regarding you all's work in the community. And I had a chance to talk with Elmer when we first came to my office, and I said, I hadn't seen him in a while. But we all who've been here for a while realize how much he was very helpful in working and governing in Roanoke County and working with the city. And so I want to thank you all, and the gentlemen that are with you. They said some inspiring things too. I'll let you determine that. But if they want to say a few words, a few brief words, that's fine.
If you say anything, you got to sing before you leave.
You don't want me to say Nothing. I am nowhere talented as that tabernacle choir, so I'll defer to those wonderful people for that. No, thank you so much, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and others here on the council. We just appreciate it. We are so grateful for the opportunities that we have to be able to, when we do, to partner with those in the community. And it not only helps us to hopefully be a positive impact for others, but likewise it bolsters our faith and strengthens us as well when we're united in this effort to help support others. So I think on behalf of our church, we simply want to let others know that we are hopefully a force for good and partnering with others and supporting others in the wonderful work that's already happening here. So thank you so much for the recommendations you've offered us today, and we'll act on that and move forward with it and hopefully have some opportunity to report back on some of the things we're able to hopefully do with these wonderful organizations. So thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right, Stacey, thank you. Thank you all. All right, we'll now move down to the next item on our agenda, which is the report of city officers. And I am pleased to recognize our deputy city manager, who will share with us from a briefing. I'm going to call on her to really introduce the briefings that we have.
Thank you, Mayor, Vice Mayor, and members of council. Please allow me to bring forward Ms. Margaret Lindsay, the city's finance director, who's going to provide us with the financial report and the budget report for October of 2024.
The real question, Margaret, do we have any money?
Let's cut right to the chase, Tom.
Success. Good afternoon, Mayor Lee, Vice Mayor Cobb, and members of council, Deputy City Manager O'Brien. I have just a few numbers for you, as always, as we move on through the middle of November, which doesn't quite seem possible. There we go. First to revenue, my favorite thing. I do want to point out that our major revenue sources, both real estate and of course personal property, which will always lag based on when its due date is, are right on point relative to prior year and to budget. Of course, public service corporation taxes are not, the bills may be out now, but they are not at the same October 5th and April 5th. So those funds will be coming in November, December, and we'll know more about that probably with our January year-end report. On to other local taxes a little bit. Sales tax is a little ahead of last year, which is always good news. I do just want to remind everybody, particularly myself, that's only 2 months of tax in the barn because we put back into the prior fiscal year that which was earned in the prior fiscal year. So it's not a lot of information at this point. The other one I wanted to point out is on our business and occupational licenses, our BPO. Fiscal 25 is running a little bit stronger by a decent margin than fiscal year 24. And so when I looked into that, we evidently had some not insubstantial delinquent taxpayers pay. So we are very appreciative of that. Otherwise, nothing spectacular, no new, very large anything. And of course, that's a spring billing cycle for the most part as well. Prepared foods and beverage, Ms. Moon Reynolds, I appreciate the opportunity to respond to that one from the prior month. That was a matter of timing on where we were working with our year-end numbers, and so where we look today, after all of that is very happily finished and everything is in its proper year, they're about even, a little bit better for this fiscal year, which again, I'm very happy to report. And I will follow up with your other two at the very end. There wasn't anything otherwise very spectacular with revenue just sort of rolling right along. Expenditures, again, nothing truly out of the ordinary. Always give the target, but I also probably will say most months that expenditures may or may not be a 1/12 of every month. In fact, most months they are not going to be. As I have remarked, as soon as we are a little more time able in finance, we want to bring a little more detail of the different categories that you see here. So we're working on that. We don't want to take a lot of time, but we do want to bring a little bit more insight into what means to be in the health and welfare line, for example, and what all fits in those different categories. And then last, to follow up, with the September report, our permits, fines, and licenses, fiscal '24 showed a much higher number than fiscal '25, and in working with Ms. Papa Moore, her department could enlighten me. In fiscal '24, we had 3 rather large and probably not immediately repeatable permits. Carilion with its expansion at Roanoke Memorial, the newly now opened Melrose Grocery, and the Amazon Blue Hills renovation, all combined for what I will call one time, at least in fiscal '24, $645,000 more than what we would normally have had. So that's not a direct offset. We have had some other nice new things in '25, but none quite to that level. So I was really pleased to have some really good news on that one. And then on miscellaneous, something that is not totally uncommon, the difference there, our miscellaneous again in fiscal '24 was a good bit higher, and the primary reason for that was a grant payment from FEMA, an award that was reimbursing the city for part of the stormwater, what I call tear-down work at Ramada on Franklin Road, and that was actually several years in the works. Sometimes funds come into city treasurer's office or come into the city and get parked until we put them in the exact right place, and so it parked in that particular timing of the report being pulled, and ultimately went right on into stormwater where all of its projects, expenses, and other reimbursements were. So I'm always happy to dive in and find out more information. Quite enjoy that. So I'll be happy to answer any questions or certainly take them back for more review.
I would just make a comment, Mayor. I just want to, thank you. I just want to say, I'm always impressed at the deputies and the city manager and all of the staff when you always come in right at budget, slightly above, or even right below. I mean, I think that's impressive that you stay so close to the budget. I just think you guys are just doing an excellent job. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, Wallace. All right, we'll receive that and file it. Madam City Manager, that concludes all of the briefing?
We have the items for recommendation, and then I have a few additional comments.
Okay, all right. All right, well, we'll move on to the next item, which is items that are recommended for action. First item A is the execution of amendments to the contract with Allegheny Construction Company Incorporated for the Tinker Creek Greenway Construction Contract quantity adjustments. There's a resolution.
Move the resolution.
Madam Clerk, can you read the title paragraph, please?
Yes, sir. A resolution authorizing the interim city managers or designees issuance and execution of a contract amendment to the city's contract with Allegheny Construction Company, Inc., for additional work on the Tinker Creek Greenway construction project, and authorizing the interim city manager or her designee to take such actions and execute such documents as may be necessary to provide for the implementation, administration, and enforcement of such contract as amended.
All right. Is there any discussion from members of council? Heard none. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Sanchez Jones.
Aye.
Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Cobb.
Aye.
Ms. White Boyd.
Aye.
Mr. Volleson.
Aye.
Ms. Moon Reynolds.
Aye.
And Mayor Lee.
Aye, and the resolution passes. Thank you. Item B is the acceptance of the FY 2024 Bulletproof Vest Partnership Grant Award from the United States Department of Justice. There's an ordinance.
Move the ordinance.
Second.
Madam Clerk, please read the title paragraph.
An ordinance authorizing acceptance of the FY 2024 Bulletproof Vest Partnership Grant made to the City of Roanoke by the United States Department of Justice, authorizing the interim city manager or designee to execute and file appropriate documents to obtain such funds, and dispensing with the second reading of this ordinance by title.
All right. Any discussion from council? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Ms. Sanchez Jones. Aye. Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Cobb.
Aye.
Ms. White Boyd.
Aye.
Mr. Volleson.
Aye.
Ms. Moon Reynolds.
Aye.
And Mayor Lee.
Aye. And the ordinance passes. Thank you. Item C is the acceptance of $770,000 in grant funds from the U.S. Department of Transportation, Build America, start to say Build America Beautiful, Build America Bureau for the Innovative Finance and Asset Concession Grant Program. There's an ordinance.
Move the ordinance.
Second.
All right, Madam Clerk, please read the title paragraph.
An ordinance authorizing acceptance of the Innovative Finance and Asset Concession Grant made to the City of Roanoke by the United States Department of Transportation, Build America Bureau, authorizing the interim city manager or her designee to execute and file appropriate documents to obtain such funds, and dispensing with the second reading of this ordinance by title.
Thank you. Any discussion? Vice Mayor?
Mayor, I don't know who might speak further to this, just to give some more details about what this might help happen.
I'm going to bring forward Mr. Mark
I mean, I'm really
Nelson
excited
and
about this, but I'm
Mandy
curious
Cribb
to
to
see
talk
what's
about
possible.
this additionally.
Mr. Mayor, Vice Mayor Cobb, I actually brought forth Mandy Cribb, who worked on the grant application with me, just in case there's any questions I can't answer, because it is a very specific grant. The whole point of this is basically, we had started looking at the Government Finance Officers Association program, which is actually a grant program that allows you to look at all city-owned properties and determine which ones you can use, which ones are usable by the city, which ones might be resold or redeveloped. This is actually another program that's the U.S. Department of Transportation. What it basically does is it allows us to look within a half-mile radius of the Amtrak station to determine, are there city-owned properties that are underutilized? Could those be developed in some other way? And this actually retains a consultant to be able to look at those properties and then help possibly bring in different developers who might be able to offer solutions.
So, tell me again the parameters of the distance.
It's a half-mile radius around the train station. So we have not yet developed a map for it, because once the grant moves forward, we'll work with the consultants to determine what that radius looks like.
Okay. Right. And will you all be bringing back updates for us on this?
As often as you like, yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So I had a follow-up question on that. Is the entire amount used for the consultant's fee and whatever it takes to communicate with the community, or if anything's left over? It said something about starting with some affordable housing with some of the funding, but I just wondered, is the entire $770,000 going to the consultant? Is that for the fee? It is?
It is.
Oh, I'm in the wrong
They'll
business.
put together a package and recommend different types of funding streams and stuff that would entice developers.
Oh, yeah, that's a very healthy amount. I just kind of surprised that the entire amount would be used just for the consulting fee. I thought it would be spread out in some other areas, but I just wanted some clarification on that. Okay, that's good to know.
All right.
And it's great that a grant is covering it.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
don't have
Thanks for
No
finding
match.
that.
I don't think we'd be bringing this to you if we didn't have grant funds.
Yeah, no, thank you for finding
That's
that.
a lot.
Appreciate
Chris
the work.
Marr will help us on this.
He
This is
offered
from
some,
his
he offered,
organization, right?
as he always does, he offered a lot of sage advice on how to apply for it. Initially, we had spoken with him about the program that GFOA offers. This was sort of a first step before we go into that. And that larger program looks at all city-owned property across the city. This looks at a specific area around transportation assets.
All right. Any other Discussion?
Let me ask you one other question. Have you selected the consulting firm, or that has to go out for?
No, that would have to go through an RFP process.
You know somebody going?
I'm thinking real quick at how I can get certified.
That has to be after December 31st, right?
We got time.
Madam Clerk, I think we're ready to call the roll.
All right. Ms. Sanchez Jones? Aye. Mr. Fitzpatrick? Vice Mayor Cobb?
Aye.
Ms. White Boyd?
Aye.
Mr. Volleson?
Aye.
Ms. Moon Reynolds?
Aye.
And Mayor Lee.
Aye, and the ordinance passes. Thank you. All right, the next item on the agenda is comments from Deputy City Manager O'Brien.
Thank you. So I wanted to encourage everybody to mark their calendars. This Saturday, November 23rd, is going to be the 75th birthday celebration of Mill Mountain Star. So at 10 a.m. at the observation area by the star, there's going to be cupcakes and star crafts. And the first 75 people are going to receive like a sun spree. And if you don't know what that is, I did not, but it looks kind of like a little glass ornament with a star on it. So the first 75 folks are going to be able to get that. There is a 75th anniversary hike to the star planned that morning, so you can start hiking up to the star at 9 a.m. And that's for hikers and bikers. And they're going to receive, if you hike and bike up there, you're going to receive like a bike light. So 9 a.m. is the hike, and 10 a.m. is the birthday celebration. There's a residential forum between the police department and DRI, and that's going to be on Wednesday at 6 p.m., and they're going to be discussing public safety with residents. And the forum's going to be held in the City Market Building, and the dinner's going to be served. So if you are interested in attending, they are asking for RSVPs to ensure they know the amount of meals to prepare for. And since we aren't going to gather again until at least the Thanksgiving holiday, I wanted to remind everybody that on Saturday, November 30th, is going to be the 15th year of Small Business Saturday, to encourage folks to shop local, and especially those in impacted areas such as in Wasena. So I encourage everybody to do that, and I wanted to take the opportunity to highlight that. And then lastly, just wanted to share a few words about the National League of Cities City Summit. Most of you know Ms. White Boyd and I guess co-led a session at the summit on authentic community engagement. We had a great turnout, and it went really well, and I think we had a great presentation, and I'm pretty proud of what we were able to deliver at the conference. So, and that's all from me, Mayor. That's right.
Well, thank you both for that presentation. It's always good to have something that Roanoke's doing at these national conferences, which, gives us a good name as we go around the country.
Yes, and I would add that the conversation always comes back to our ARPA funding and how we had that 36-member panel, and also our Equity and Empowerment Advisory Board. People kept asking questions about those two things, so we're real proud of that.
Yeah, that does get a lot of inquiries, and even when we were going through that, and I'm very pleased with that and how we did that, and I commend our council and city administration for how that was handled. Very good. All right. Thank you, Mr. Bryant, and does that conclude your comment?
It does. Thank you.
All right, we're now down to reports of committees. A presentation of the proposed 2024 legislative program. Councilmember Patricia Whiteboard is chair of the legislative committee, and I'll call on her for any comments that she has at this time.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm having a sidebar with my colleague here, Mr. Volleson. I was just getting ready to propose that we go ahead and adopt and endorse the 24-25 legislative agenda, but Mr. Volleson indicated that he did not see some priorities that were submitted for the regional commission, and he is trying to determine where those were sent. I'm not sure who he sent them to, but I don't recollect. And did you recall seeing anything, Mr. Spencer?
No, I did not, but that doesn't mean that we can't support them.
Yeah, we will certainly do that. Did you make sure you looked through the entire thing? You didn't see it?
Oh, wait, I can tell you, I emailed it at the last council meeting I was at. We had our legislative committee, and I sent it out to everybody at that meeting.
I didn't get it.
Well, that's still, but,
Be glad to take those on.
we can adopt it at the.
Move forward with what was adopted this is what was adopted at the legislative committee.
Yes.
That was held
Yes,
approximately 2 weeks ago.
yeah, and that's fine, and because I think we're at this point, we're ready to go ahead and endorse it, so we can do the resolution.
I think we ought to go ahead in that timing. It's pretty, Preston Bryant needs to go ahead and start doing some legwork.
And I've got
And
some
whatever
letters for
Mr.
the mayor to
Volleson
sign.
wants, we can certainly add that
We
without
will.
any
We
difficulty.
will.
And I don't have any problem, going in that direction either.
And with this adoption of this resolution, please understand that that gives flexibility to our legislative liaison to address those types of issues.
What were they right offhand? Could you briefly tell us?
I mean, some of them, I don't know all of them offhand, but one of the main ones is support for the Roanoke Regional Airport and expansion of the runway. Support for the Blue Ridge Innovation Corridor. I think some of them have to do with rural roads and trying to get funding for rural roads like Franklin County needs. So they're all items that we as a region have deemed are important to us. And I think a lot of them echo what we do here in the city, but we want to make sure that that voice is, or that those priorities are lifted up as well, so we can all work as a team.
Okay, thank you.
That was primarily just incorporating the Roanoke Allegheny Regional Commission's Legislative Committee priorities into council, just like we do the school board. That's all it was. Yeah.
All right. So we can go ahead and approve.
Yeah.
Okay. All right,
Do you need a second? Or you just come
do
straight
you have a
to
second?
the-
I don't know.
Madam Clerk,
There's-
tell me where we
there's a
are.
resolution, I don't know how she.
Someone needs to move and second, and then
Yeah,
I'll
'cause
call
I
the
was gonna
roll.
say there's a resolution.
Just needed a second. I
Okay.
thought you did.
Did someone move?
I'll move the resolution.
Okay, thank you.
Can you read the title paragraph?
Yes, sir. A resolution adopting and endorsing the 2024 through 2025 legislative program for the city to be presented to the city's delegation of the General Assembly and authorizing the city's legislative liaison to advocate the positions of the city with respect to matters presented during the 2025 session of the General Assembly.
Okay. All right, any further discussion? Hearing none, Madam Clerk, please call the.
Ms. Sanchez Jones. Mr. Fitzpatrick.
Aye.
Vice Mayor Cobb.
Aye.
Ms. White Boyd.
Aye.
Mr. Volleson.
Aye.
Ms. Moon Reynolds.
Aye.
Mayor Lee.
Aye, and the resolution passes. All right, any comments on boards or committees or commissions in which council serves as liaisons or appointees? If anybody got any, Vice Mayor?
Yeah, we had our last GRTC, Greater Roanoke Transit Company Board meeting for the year today, and just a couple of updates. We're continuing to make progress on the Walmart shelter. We've been able to make contact with the ownership company that owns that property, and we're following up with additional steps on them, so we're very hopeful about that. We got good reports on the recent fare-free days, 900 extra trips were a part of those 2 days. One of them was Go Fest and one was Election Day. Metroflex continues, ridership continues to go up. We're continuing to hear unique stories about how people are utilizing this and what a benefit it is to the community. A couple quick stories. Apparently, there was a group of senior ladies who used to meet together for lunch, I think on Sundays, to go to K&W. And something shifted over the years, but with the introduction of Metroflex, they've been able to reconvene and by utilizing that service. And then we also heard the story of an employee who was able to ride the bus to get to work, but had to utilize Uber to get home from work, and that was $15, $20 a ride. And with Metroflex, he pays $1.75 per ride.
Wow.
So it's provided a lot of savings for him. We're seeing a ridership increase, not only in Metroflex, but in our fixed route bus service. We're almost on a regular basis at pre-COVID levels, which is pretty extraordinary. We're also exploring some mobile technology advancement opportunities, which would include paying by phone, and down the road eventually an investment to change out the fare boxes on the buses so that we have that same option as well. And then the last thing I'll say is that the electric buses are in production and will be here right after the first of the year, sometime in January. All right.
Good report. Anybody else? Okay. All right, we go down to item number 9, which is unfinished business. None. Item number 10 is introduction and consideration of ordinances and resolutions. We have none. Motions and miscellaneous businesses, inquiries or comments by the mayor and members of the city council. Mr. Folsom.
Mayor, I'd just like to say that Ms. White Boyd, Ms. Sanchez Jones, and myself were all at, I'm sorry, and Ms. Moon Reynolds were also, I see everybody over here. I forget over here. We're all at National League of Cities City Summit this year. And this year, the National League of Cities celebrated their 100th anniversary. And so it was a really great conference. I think some of the main things we learned about were ways to deal with affordable housing, artificial intelligence and how that's going to be affecting cities in the future. And it was really great to be able to mix and mingle with other local electeds to learn what they're doing in their localities and bring some of those ideas back here to Roanoke. So just wanted to say that we had a great, I think it was very positive. We also had how many students? 7? Eight students that came and did the youth delegation again this year. And so I'm sure we'll hear something about them in the future.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure, because they were in a lot of the sessions.
Yes.
What grade were they in, the students?
Some of them were sophomores and seniors. They were from Fleming, so you had your, and PH, I'm sorry, you had 2 from PH. But I was looking at the ones from Colonels. I know, because I'm a Colonel. I was listening to the Colonels.
We did have some.
You had about 3 PH, but it was a balance. It was a balance, and I was just really pleased and thrilled by the representation of the youth for the city of Roanoke. I have always wanted that to occur. When I was clerk, I pushed for it. We were able, under Anita Price, to take 4 consecutively, I think for about 3 to 4 years, to the Congressional City Conference. But I always thought it was imperative that our youth had an opportunity to go to the City Summit. And so for the last 2 years, we've been able to do that. And I just hope it's something that the city and the schools will continue, so that the kids can learn more about what goes on in other localities, just like the council members, the city elected officials does. I think it's more important that the youth get to do the same thing and bring that back here to the city and share with the youth, either it's in the community or even through the Youth Services Citizen Board. I just think it's important that they learn what else is going on outside of their city to help move our city forward, especially, again, when we look at our youth of the future. What's going to happen for Roanoke in the future when we see youth leaving? We're trying to bring youth here or to keep those here. I think this is a way that can happen. Thank you.
Yeah, and Mayor, I would say that even in one of our sessions, we had one of the youth to get up and speak and got a standing ovation. So they're not shy. They were participating, and they showed up at our session that Ms. O'Brien and I did, and he had a lot to say, and the whole room stood and gave him applause. I forgot his name. I wish I knew I could call it, but yeah.
You know,
Challenged us, though.
Yes, he did.
I'm glad to hear that, because if you all, well, Ms. O'Brien and Mr. Sway Board, will remember, we got the same kind of, we received well at the All-American City Award, and we talked about that, how people were very impressed, and, you know, there was an article, a quote in the Times where one of the judges, and they're from all around, said, hey, we could learn a lot from Roanoke. So that's very impressive. I'm glad you all were able to do that. And thank you all. Thank you for that trip. And
It was all work.
and I'll advise, I'll pass on to Mr. Carr, to Vice Mayor, that when he gets the gavel in a few weeks, that he requires anybody that goes on these trips, they come back and let you know what happened on it.
You know what that means? That means he wants to go.
Okay.
The coach will take the kids.
Let me coach some kids. Oh, man.
I think Ms. Sanchez Jones may have had a comment.
Ms. Sanchez?
I just want to remind Mr. Ballison to share about our rezoning initiative and how other communities want to copy our rezoning initiative. So please go ahead.
Yes, actually, speaking with some of the other folks, affordable housing was very important at this meeting, and there are other cities that are now looking at what Roanoke has done with no parking minimums and things like that. So Spokane, Washington, I know is looking at the legislation that we passed as leaders here in the Valley. So we're very excited about that, and I also would be remiss if I didn't say thank you to the mayor for nominating me for, I received the NLC's Under 40 Impact Award, and I appreciate that.
Yeah, kept calling us old because we were going to bed at 9:30. I forgot, I'm one of the youth. That's what he would say.
Yeah, but don't worry.
It won't last.
He'll get there.
It ain't gonna last. It won't last. He thinks. Enjoy it while you can.
That's right.
That's great. But just a couple things I just want to add. One is that we had the CIAA championship game here over the weekend. We had a lot of people. Of course, the schools, one was from Petersburg and the other was from Richmond. So it's a natural rival there. And the school from Richmond won again. And by the way, their colors are burgundy and steel.
Just happened to give you that coat?
So ironic.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just happened to be
It's a Hall of Fame coat. But anyway, the crowd had a good time there. There was a lot of fun, and you know, I had to go out in the tailgating, and one people said, "Hey, folks, the game's in there. The game's already started." They were out tailgating, but people came and had a good time, and that's something that we work with Salem. Coach Salem is the host place. They got the facility and what have you. And that was the last year that that championship game will be held here because they had got to go out for bid. And the Raleigh-Durham, they got a sports commission down there will have that game for the next 3 years. But it was a lot of fun. And it was a beautiful day till the sun went down. They got a little chilly then.
Kerry will get them back.
Okay, yeah, the Kerry does a good job at that. Well, he knows how to handle those things. And also, I want to recognize newly elected City Council member Nick Hagan that is here. Nick, good to see you and congratulations. All right. And our personnel chair, somebody will be getting some information to you about some things that they'll be involved with in the next few days.
We've already spoken.
Okay, great. All right, no vacancies on any boards or committees. So with that being said, we will stand in recess until 7 o'clock tonight when we'll reconvene. So council's in recess. Thank you.
Split my family apart.
Diana says that she supports any politician who's serious about trying to end the war in Ukraine. Angelina Stevach says that she came to the rally just to be in the same space with people who share her views.
It's amazing to be around people that are not crazy, that think like me. It's amazing to actually see these people, hearing Russian, hearing my